Yeah, making the playoffs for the first time in school history is a pretty big event for us. Each year since I've been here, we've tried to strive to take each step forward to those next levels. I mean, we always look at the teams that have consistently been at the top, your Prairie State, Morton, Rock Valley, Tritons, South Sub as well, meeting them in the playoffs, and we tied during the regular season. It was a very windy day, and they got the luck that day, but there's a lot to go off that and build off that. So each step has been great, but the pressure of getting in the playoffs, putting everything together, it was a good experience for the guys, and I think we can carry that into next year. Yeah, when we look at the expectations each year has been to go higher and higher and higher. So this year, finishing top 10 in our region, which is arguably the best region in the country. I mean, again, you name any of those teams and anybody can win on any given day. Our expectation is to be higher than we were this year. Each year, you want to get higher and higher and higher. So with the recruiting and everything else that we do, we have the expectations of, the first couple of years it was establishing and just getting the program really to a certain level, and now it's to exceed those levels and to be considered in the top 6 in the region. Yeah, this group of guys has been it's been great working with all of them. We've always had good guys that have come through here. Some of it was still me trying to figure out what identity we wanted to have, how to manage all the individual talents that we had. And I think this is the first one that we came in last year and kind of put our foot down and said, okay, this is what it's going to be, and this is how we're going to develop it, and this is how we're going to take it to the next level. And when you look at the core group of guys that all came back for their second year, I mean, it was a thrill to work with these guys. And they're big shoes to fill. I mean, when I'm sitting there, I can tell already the difference in the recruiting. Some of the guys we're going after, I'm like, ooh, can they fill an Andrea's shoes? Can they fill Joe's shoes? Can they fill Dylan's or Tommaso or Gage or Fernando? Alex Meza. I look at these players and go, okay, I have to replace 2-year starters. So yeah, it's made everything better, and it makes everything also harder, when you're sitting there going through your recruitment. But in the same sense, what these guys achieved helps us in our recruitment, because again, each year we're striving to get up there, and next year our goal is top 6. Yeah, well, we're looking at one of the big things that we're looking at for next year is, again, you've had our in-group of freshmen that have now gotten to play with, the sophomore group that really took it to the next level. They're very dedicated, very team-oriented, very family-oriented. Now, to see this freshman class come back for a second year and have a taste, they're going to hold the incoming class to a higher level, which is what we want. So it really builds off the players that you have here and how they're going to work in the off season and what they want to bring to the table. And I will say that our returning group, that will be sophomores next year, they're going to have very, very, very high expectations of the incoming guys and what we have to put together for the program. I have several favorite moments from this season. I mean, I know a couple of the guys that talked about the Triton win. Well, the reason Triton was such a big win for us is because Triton is who we've strived to be, and we looked at the group that Peter and the job that Peter has done at Triton. I mean, they put a whooping on us a couple years in a row, and even one year they're like, we thought you guys were going to be better this year. And we're like, yeah, we were putting some things together. So when you have a program like that, that was huge. But also 1-0 to Prairie State and Carlos. I mean, 2 years ago they were national champs. 3-2 to Morton, who for years, Morton, Prairie State, and Triton have kind of put a hurting on us. So being in 1-goal matches with all 3 of those were huge. And then Elgin was nationally ranked when we beat them, and are still nationally ranked and still in the playoffs. So there's a lot of moments that all come together. Yeah, I think obviously Daniel coming back is a huge piece for us and will be one of the key leaders. But yeah, when we look at Bierker, our keeper, I mean, he was missing for the first part of the season coming off a hammy. Um, that still takes a little while and then some adjustment to get in. Thankfully, we had Fern and Ivan. You know, we probably had the best keeper trio of the entire region that any of these guys could start at any given moment. You know, Max from Canada, Max and I had a few struggles on system and the style that we're trying to get to play, but when he plays it, absolutely fantastic, unbelievable player. I think it's just some of it, what he's so used to is trying to get him to adapt to what we're trying to do. We look at Musin and Keenan, you know, JP had a heck of a season. Mitch, Alex Roulard, who towards the end of the season was struggling with the knee, but we really feel like we found a good spot for him on the field. And you talk about dedication and a workhorse. Alex Roulard, very hard-working player. Owen held down that back line with everybody. So we look at our returners, and we are very excited for next year. I think they all have to step up in a way. I think they have to make it and create it their environment and their team, which is what these guys did. I mean, when you have big personalities like Andrea and Joe, they made it their team. Then you throw Dylan and Gage and Tommaso and everybody else in there and Alex Meza. Tony coming back. Tony was huge this year. Tony had an up-and-down season last year. Tony had to go back to North Carolina for some family stuff. And, you know, we were able to bring him back in. What a season that kid had. I mean, unreal with what he did. So I think their example that they led with will show these guys coming back what it's going to be like for next year, which we're very excited for.